Welcome to the presentation for our science and math programs at Durham Tech. The science and math programs have two possible pathways. One is a short term, which is less than 1 year, that includes biotechnology and biomanufacturing and lab assistant programs. And you will hear about these choices toward the second half of our presentation. And we have long-term options, more than 12 months, and basically it is the associate in science degree, which I will start with first. So the science and math long-term would be the associate in science, and the majority of students choose to use it with transfer to a four-year university. By the way, I'm Kambiz Tamassib. I'm the chair of sciences at Durham Tech, and Chris Mansfield is the chair of math and physics department, and he will tell you about math options. So the associate in science degree is a stepping stone for you to a four-year university. These are some examples. However, the North Carolina Community College system has agreements with all public universities in the state so that you can transfer to them. Of course, why do these degrees is to advance to a career in science and math. There are lots of options, everything from assistants to technicians to full scientist, mathematician. So the options are quite wide, and salaries tend to pay living wages well, and of course those salaries go higher with more degrees like master's or doctorate level degrees. The value of an associate degree are many. Of course, at Durham Tech, you benefit from saving great savings compared to four-year institutions. And also you get much smaller class sizes. For example, in the science department, the average class size has 20 students. So you have access to your instructor it will help you with your college career. Your credits transfer to any state school. Of course, depending on your major, you might not automatically be a junior. Of course, you will work closely with your advisor to make sure that when you transfer that all your credits are useful and can get you started as a junior as much as possible. And also you should know that there are many private universities too that have agreements. So that is something you can explore further. The associate in science degrees, of course, is an accomplishment. And of course, the more documentation you have, the better it is for your resume and your ability to secure employment. And of course, studies are showing that community college graduates in North Carolina tend to have higher completion rates in bachelor degrees as they are prepared well to complete their four-year study. At this point, I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Mansfield to tell you about math.
Welcome, everybody. I'm going to talk about what we do here in the math department at Durham Tech. First, I want to talk about, just to piggyback a little bit on what Dr. Tamassib was saying. I know that y'all are out there thinking about, well, should I go to Durham Tech? Why would I want to go to Durham Tech? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And so I want to do it, just address that a little bit. If first of all, if you come to Durham Tech, the main thing you want to keep in your head is that come to Durham Tech, 2 years of full-time work will get you an associate's degree. And if you want to do the associate in science or associate in arts, I mean, we concentrate on the sciences in this area, but associate in science, associate in arts, or associate in engineering, then you can transfer to a 4-year school from there. So you do 2 years at Durham Tech and then 2 years at a 4-year university. And sometimes maybe it'll take an extra semester or two, but that's the main idea. And you might think, well, where can I go from Durham Tech? And the answer is pretty much anywhere you want to. If you go in-state, all your credits will transfer to an in-state public university. If you go to many private universities, those credits are guaranteed to transfer. And even if you go to other schools that we don't have an agreement with, still a lot of those credits will transfer. And we send students, just in the last few years, we've sent students to Brown, Smith, Stanford, Purdue, of course, plenty to Carolina, plenty to NC State, also all the other public institutions in North Carolina, other public institutions like Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, etc. So, come in here, knock out the first 2 years, and then finish your last 2 years at a university. Now, why would you want to do that as opposed to just going to a university to begin with? Well, you'd want to, some of the benefits that we have small classes. You're not going to be in a 200-person class at Durham Tech. Our classes are capped at different classes are capped 20, 25, 35. So not these huge lecture hall classes. They're taught by full-time educators who have undertaken education as a profession. So they're not taught by graduate assistants. They're not taught by people who are primarily researchers, but have to teach a class. You get professional educators here. Why not attend Durham Tech? All those good things. Oh, and of course, let me point out, it's far less expensive than a 4-year institution as well. The downside, of course, is we don't have dorm life. We don't have sports, band, anything like that. So understand that there are some benefits to a 4-year school that you won't get here. But we do have plenty of extracurricular opportunities, and I'll get to some of those in just a moment. First of all, let me just mention my own subject, which is math. I'm the chair of the math department. And here's some, I'm not going to bother to read them to you. You can read them yourself. I will mention data analysis is a burgeoning field that involves both computer programming and statistics. It's a way to use data to make decisions, which has become a very, very common need for all types of businesses. And so you've got to keep that in the back of your head if you're interested in that. Data analysis is a good direction to go in. Slide, please. Thanks. A couple of things, extracurricular opportunities in math. We do Student Math League and Durham Tech Math Club. The Student Math League is a national competition that we administer on our own campus every semester. We have cash prizes. We usually have about 100 students compete. Anybody that wants to compete can. And we offer not only cash prizes, but free pizza. So I think that probably accounts for a good number of those 100 students showing up to that particular math test. We also have a math club that is student-led. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, come talk to me and we can sort of get it restarted. Obviously, not much has been going on this past year with the pandemic, but we're all back on campus, or at least many people will be back on campus in the fall. Slide, please. We also have a traveling math team that goes to 1 to 2 competitions per year. As you can see, they have won some hardware, and that happens pretty regularly. We have a very strong team, and we compete against other 2-year schools and some 4-year schools as well in various competitions. So that can be a lot of fun if you're picked to be on that team, and it can be a good resume or application building activity as well. Slide, please. Some other opportunities that we have, I'll go through these quite quickly. We have some honor societies. I've mentioned Student Math League. We have a variety of clubs, which I'll show you on the next slide, and Student Senate, otherwise known as SGA or Student Government. I'll have an opportunity to run for office and participate in that, if you like. Slide, please. And here's just a smattering of other things that we have. I've mentioned Math League. We have seminars that you can attend, science and social science seminars, where we have lecturers from research universities and other areas discussing their research and discussing their work. So you can learn about any sort of area that's of interest to you. We have Final Draft, which is our literary journal, which publishes students' work. We have visiting poets come in for a poetry hour, students, the aforementioned Student Senate, and a variety of other things that I'm not going to go into one by one here, but just know that there are a lot of extracurricular opportunities, despite the fact that we don't have that sort of dorm life and sports teams that four-year schools have. Well, I thank you for your attention, and I will now turn it over to Ingrid Charles, the Biowork Biopharma Director, to discuss the biotechnology program.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Ingrid Charles, and I'm the Director of the Biowork and Biopharma, as you say. So let me discuss a little bit about our short-term program that we have at the college. And usually it takes from 1 or 2 semesters to complete the program. So biotechnology, what is that? It uses living systems to develop products, increase quality of life, and improve the health of our planet. In North Carolina, there is over 63,000 people working in different jobs. And in Durham alone, we have over 7,000 employees working in the industry. We have more than 35 major biomanufacturing and pharmaceutical and chemical companies. And since 2012, we have seen a growth of over 66% of increase in job in the area. And years ago, people needed to have a master or a PhD to enter this field. Now, with those short credentials that we are offering, as long as you have a high school or a GED and complete some of our certificate courses, you are able to start a career in this industry. So as a technician, a lab technician, a process technician, you will be making some products. And here I have a list of the different products that you might participate in making, either making the products or part of the product. So I'm sure some of you would love to be making some wines or some beer, or even cosmetics. So hopefully that would be one of the products that you'll be making. We have 3 different pathways on the non-credit side. The first one is the biomanufacturing program. The second one is a brand new one that will start in September, is the Bioagriculture Program Opportunity, or Bioact Pro. And finally, we have the Lab Assistant Program. So I'm going to just give you a very quick overview of all 3 programs to help you to understand the difference between the 3. So the Biomanufacturing Program, this is the one that we are currently offering. And you can see a list of different job title or position that you will be able to apply once you are done with the training. And what will you be doing? Well, you'll operate, monitor, and control the production process. You'll receive, transport, and store materials. You might collect and analyze material used in production, inspect and maintain the production equipment and control system, keep critical records on the process and the product, maintain the company's safety, health, and environmental standards. Right now, the cost of the program is about $500. And when we go back on campus in person, it will be about $800. So it's less than $1,000 for the whole program, and it lasts about 1 semester to complete the program. The new one, the Bioact Pro, you'll be working in a greenhouse, nursery, lab associates, or a lab assistant in a greenhouse. So you'll be doing some hand watering, fertilizing, plant maintenance, sampling, transporting, discarding plants, plant harvesting, shelling, counting seeds, You'll be working in a greenhouse and also the lab in the greenhouse. Assist with data collection, plant performance, keep critical records on the process and the product, and apply pesticides whenever it's needed. So this program can be from 1 or 2 years, depending of what prerequisite that you have. And it would be about $900 for this new program. And finally, the last one is our lab assistant program. And again, once again, you have some of the position, and depending of your level of education that you have or your experience, you might be able to apply for one of those positions. And as a research or lab technician, you'd be responsible to perform general lab tasks such as media preparation, autoclaving supplies, wash or prepare glassware, discard waste, setting up lab equipment and prepare chemical solution, conduct tests, keep critical record on the process and products, and of course, maintain company safety, health, and other standards. This one is a bit more expensive. It can be also from 1 or 2 semesters to complete the lab assistant program. And finally, what are company looking for? There's so many different things. So I'm going to just really target the most important one: integrity, dedication, innovation, and commitment. You might have to be working shift depending on the company and the position that you have. You might have to be working every other weekend or night. You have the ability to multitask and detail oriented. This is a great opportunity to start a career in the biotech. Many companies have come in the area and are looking for people that just have a passion and a drive to be working in this industry. If you are interested, feel free to email me, contact me, or go on the website to get more information about our program. We have classes starting every other month. Thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you.
Olivia is asking, are there some extracurricular curriculars accessible to CCP students?
Yeah, the extracurricular activities are, I believe every single one of them will be open to CCP students.
Valerie has a question. Is there an age requirement for biomed careers? Ingrid, are there age requirements for your, Valerie, for associate in science, and there is no age requirement. It's, you know, if you have your high school credentials. But what about the short term, Ingrid?
They have to be 18 to start the program, yes, and have your high school credentials.
What about criminal background? Once in a while, I work with a student who had previous legal issues. Criminal background, I mean, of course, that it just depends on the company. Of course, it doesn't affect enrollment in Durham Tech, but companies might have specific requirements and attestation for that. Carrie would like to know more about math placement testing and any tips on the best way to brush up on math skills before that testing.
So, Carrie, that's a rather difficult question. I didn't get through it in 2 minutes, but I'll give you at least a little bit of information to get started. If you have graduated from high school in the last 10 years, then your high school GPA, along potentially with SAT or ACT scores, will place you, and if you place high enough into sort of college level pre-calculus, then you can take a test to place you even higher into calculus. And if you have not been to high school in the last 10 years, or if you're an international student, then we do have a placement test to start you off. But generally, we use high school GPA and SAT and ACT test to get you placed.